Hey guys, welcome back. This is part 4 of Legend of Zelda 2 Redux, Nocturne here. And right now we are going through Maze Island. The castle on Maze Island. Palace, whatever it's called. Don't worry about it. Now we're just heading in here to grab an item and duck out, like most of the palaces, although this one steps up a bit in difficulty. You've got enemies like this that take off a lot of health. They jump around a lot, and they start increasing in difficulty from this point forward. You get a lot of enemies that jump around, and they take a lot of hits. Of course, you're not really supposed to be here at these low levels, but since we're grabbing the items and getting out, we don't have to worry about it too much. So in this palace, what we're going to be doing is grabbing the raft, and that will allow us to go to East Hyrule, which is where the rest of the game takes place. Once we go to East Hyrule, we won't really have to come back to this area, except to go after the bosses that we fought already. We still gotta grab keys, and I'm still grabbing stuff to level up, because there is a part later in the game where I'm gonna start grinding, but I don't want it to be too long, so I grab as many level ups as I can before that point. And there are a lot of point bags laying around in the palaces and around the area. Now sometimes you can jump high enough if you have enough running momentum, but otherwise you can just use the jump spell to get past these. It's easier. We got here. It's one of the few times you'll see an outside area in a palace. Go through this red iron knuckle. If those guys drop a point bag, it's always going to be a 200 point one. Usually when enemies drop a point bag, it's either going to be a 50 point bag or a 200 one, depending on the experience points they usually give you. These guys who are incredibly annoying, because they don't stop. They're not enemies that stop coming. They always keep coming at you. And they always travel in the same pattern. Now, enemies in a situation like this, you can always knock them off the platform. It'll kill them, but you won't get the experience for it, and they'll come back later. So it's always good to back up and make sure you kill them properly. Yes, and there are lots of iron knuckles in this palace. And so I cancel that, so that way I can save up for something else. And here's the blue iron knuckle. This is the first palace where they start coming out with these guys, and they are a huge pain in the butt, because as you can see, they throw their swords at you. It's very easy to die, they do a lot of damage, and they take a lot of hits to kill. So I just decided to skip them. Just fly over them, you'll take damage. Now if you have a key, it'll use the key if you're a fairy, but if not, you'll just go right through it. And as a fairy, you can pick up items. The only thing you can't pick up is keys, because you have to use your sword in order to grab those. But anything you can grab by walking into it, you can pick up as a fairy. So now that I got the raft, I'm heading back out. I'm not doing a quick save because I'm close to leveling up, and I don't want to lose that experience. I'll just head back the way we came and head on out. Yeah, that you have to use the jump spell. I don't think there's any way for you to jump to that normally. And since I'm close, I'm gonna start attacking these guys, since I'm close to hitting a level up threshold. But as you can see, I like to keep the ceiling above me, because like I said, when I have that jump spell turned on, it messes up my timing. So I like to have something above me so I can jump normally. And there we go. Level up life again. So that gets your defense up, I take less damage. And now I'm at the point where if I use the shield spell, instead of turning blue, I'll turn red, and I'll take even less damage when using it. And this is where I decide to, since I just leveled up, I'm just going to take a quick save and get out. Then go back through the cave. And then just bounce off this dude's head. Since you have the down thrust, it's a lot easier to do that. And a lot of times I will go after enemies that don't give that much experience, because even though it's like 3 points or something like that, it does add up after a while. And there's sometimes when they'll drop point bags like that. Even though it's 50 points, it still adds up after a while. Then just head up, and when you're in your graveyard, you're attacked by these things. Moas. They fly around in patterns like that. And as you can see, it's very difficult to get by without getting hit by them. So I'm going to go in here, get healed up. And you don't have to stay for the whole thing that they say. As soon as you go in the door, you can back out. Now here we are in West Hyrule. Now, for this version of the game, the Redux, for the West Hyrule, when you get into a random fight or a encounter like this, it plays the battle music that was used in the Famicom Disk System version of the game that was released in Japan. That way, it kind of gives it like a little difference. Now that you're over here where the enemies are tougher, you get to hear different music. Then to this town, this is Naburu. And then I just heal up quick because I know I'm going to get a magic refill. Well, I'm right here. Oh, you mean for water. Okay, never mind. Yes, she needs water. The fountain is probably about 10 feet away from her, and you have to go get it for her. Fucking laziest bitch on earth. And for doing that, you get a spell which is pretty optional, if it's the spell that I think it is. Yeah, it's the fire spell. You don't really need this. There's only 2 enemies in the game that you have to use fire in order to kill, and they don't really give enough experience to bother fighting anyway, but I will point them out when they show up. And that's it for this town. Now just head on up through this cave here, and you'll get to the rest of the top part of West Hyrule. East Hyrule, not West. West is where you were at, this is East. I'm smart, I promise. I went to college. That guy I just ducked over, the blue one, that's Zora. That's one of the enemies that can only be killed by using fire. And just head through these woods here. Got spiders and these eyeballs that fly around. Go down here, there's another extra life. And when you cross that bridge over there, it takes you to Maze Island. That's where the next palace is. But before we go there, there's something we have to do first. Just take this path here, and you're gonna fall down a hole. And I throw a shield spell on because there's an enemy in here that's pretty tough. These are Lizalfos. And you fight them the same way you do an Iron Knuckle, but the timing is a little different for when you hit them with the sword. You can jump on their heads sometimes, but only when the shield is down. And hey, there's a kid down here. And you need that kid in order to progress in the game. So you just exit this way. And now you gotta walk back out. As you go through here, some of these squares on this path will target random encounters, but there is something specific that you can get now that you don't have to worry about it later. Just go this way here, then fall down, and there's the magic jar, so you can get your 7 things of magic. That's the third one, there's one left. And you can't get that last one unless you get the 3 of them that come beforehand. So just head out this way. And now we gotta walk all the way across to the other side of the continent we were on. Just head on over through the woods. And these are Tektites. These are the other enemy that you have to have fire in order to kill. They hardly give any experience like the Zoras, and they take way too many shots to kill with the fire spell to be feasible, so I don't even bother with them. And now you got 2 of these areas here that have blue Octoroks. They're a lot more mobile than the red ones. They move around, fire stuff at you. Okay, that's one. Where's the other? And now you got bubbles to deal with. And there we go. And now we get to this town here. This is Darunia in the mountains. And this is where you need the kid. Because he or she, whatever that kid is the fetch quest item that you need in order to get the spell from this town. And it's a spell that you have to have in order to progress in the game. But there's another thing you can get here. Just jump on up to the roof here, go on over. And then just go down the chimney, and there's a hidden house here. Go on down. And now you can get the up stab instead of the down stab. So now you can attack in all 4 directions. The up stab isn't as useful as the down stab. There are places where it will help out, but I don't use it as much as I use the down stab. Okay, there's that. Now you can head on over. And there's the house. Yep, save the kid, go in there. And the sage in this place gives you the reflect spell. So this makes your shield stronger. It makes it so that it can block fire and also reflect the attack that Wizrobes have. They'll shoot a beam at you that looks similar to the beam that was in the first game that they were in, the original Legend of Zelda. And with the reflect spell you can bounce it back, and that's the only way to hurt them. And the boss of Maze Palace is just a giant version of one of those Wizrobes, so if you don't have the reflect spell, you're shit out of luck. No, we're gonna leave that. And now we gotta go all the way back to the other side. Back to Maze Island, so we can go into the palace and get the item that's there. So you got those two there. One thing you can do if these little areas are too tricky for you, if you wait for random enemies to spawn, if you step on an enemy while they're occupying the same tile where an automatic battle would take place, it gets overwritten with the random encounter instead, and you'll be able to pass through it. On the way to the final palace in the game, there's a lot of automatic areas that are really tough to get through, but the random encounters are easier, so that's a way to get through that faster if you're having trouble. And as you can see, sometimes it's just really hard to try to dodge any of them because they come right at you. Okay, back through here. And now we gotta take the long way around. So the way that I go, there's only one forced encounter. And it's one that you have to do. That one forced encounter that I do, you have to do. And it's all enemies that need the fire spell. So I just mosey on away from them. Okay, just go on through. And this one is the only forced encounter if you go the correct way. I didn't go the right way, but it happens. It's alright. It's not that big of a deal. As long as you get through it to the end, it's fine. And I just continue on the rest of the way. You gotta go up and around, then all the way over to where the palace is. Thankfully, the palace itself isn't a maze, it's just a maze to get to it. Although this is the first instance of a palace where you have to drop down through what looks like a bottomless pit in order to advance. But you'll see that later. And then you got this nonsense where these Stalfalfos are stuck in these little pits here. And they're a pain in the ass to try to get out, because they'll just stand there and stare at you while you're trying to get them out to hit them. And there's no way for you to hit them while they're standing in the pit. Yeah, I just say screw it and move along. From this point on, I actually took notes on what I needed to do when I went to each palace, so that way I wouldn't be stuck looking up maps or anything like that. So I actually had a notebook that I hand wrote notes down in. So here's the first pit you need to drop down. And then to make sure I make it over, I jump. The jump spell. Any pit that doesn't have lava or water under it is safe to drop through. If there's just blackness underneath it, you'll be fine. You can drop through it and it'll just take you somewhere else. So I just go through here. Got 2 of these guys in a row. But if you just push the one over, you won't have to worry about the other one behind you. I heal again, because I'm getting my ass kicked. And I throw the shield spell on, because I know there's one of these blue guys here. And I just made it with that heal spell. And I get the boots. These boots let you walk on water, certain kinds of water, not all of it. And it's the only way for you to get to the Ocean Palace, which is one of the palaces in the game. And also the only way that you can get to another heart container. So now you just drop through there, and you move along to the left, and that takes you back out. There's one of the whiz robes I was talking about, so you hit reflect, and that reflects the magic back. And they also disappear and reappear. And I look around to see if there's any more because I'm close to a level up. And boom, just like that. And I take the magic boost, so I can lessen the cost of spells. And I save out. So, that's the end of part 4. Thank you for watching. And as you can see with the water walk boots, I can just walk out easy like that. And I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good night.